Hello everyone, welcome to b.tech Techno Solution Private Limited. Now we are going to see about the automobile technology and its interview tips. So we have the question, what are the functions of a frame? The functions of a frame are to support the chassis components and the body, and to withstand static and dynamic loads without undue deflection or distortion, to carry the load of passengers, or else we can say to carry the goods carried in the body. So these are considered to be the functions of a frame. So it supports, it withstands, it carries the load and other things. We'll move on to the next question. List out the various materials used in the construction of chassis frames. The materials are low carbon steel, high carbon steel and alloy. So if you see about the low carbon steel, it has the range of 0.18 or 0.20% of carbon content. In terms of high carbon steel, the carbon content will be 0.25%. And in terms of alloy steel, with the alloying elements like nickel and chromium will be there. So these are considered to be the various materials used in the construction of chassis frames. Let's move on to the next question. Write down any two main sections of vehicle construction. The two sections are chassis construction and body construction. We'll move on to the next question. What are the two types of vehicle suspensions? The first one is rigid axle suspension and the second one is independent suspension. We have the next question. What is meant by steering ratio? Steering ratio is defined as the ratio of the angle turned on the steering wheel to the angle turned by the stub axle. You can see the steering wheel over here. Let's move on to the next question. What are the functions of a gearbox? The functions of a gearbox are: the gearbox has to provide torque multiplication. And the next function is, it has to provide the means to reverse a vehicle. And the third function is all about, it has to provide neutral position. So these are the functions of a gearbox. We have the next question. Why do you need a gearbox? The answer for the reason of having the gearbox is all about, when a vehicle is moving on a road, it has to encounter different resistance depending upon the road surface, vehicle speed and road gradient. The wheel torque required at road wheels is different for different operating conditions. To satisfy this requirement, a gearbox is necessary in a vehicle. We'll move to the next question. Why is the frame narrow at front? The reason is that the frame is narrowed at the front in order to provide a better steering lock. This also permits smaller turning circle radius. Let's move to the next question. Why are the side members of the frame upswept at different places? The frame is upswept at the rear and front to accommodate the movement of the axles due to springing. It also keeps the chassis height low. Let's move to the next question. Name few components of engine. The components of engine are cylinder block, cylinder head, crankcase, cylinder, piston, connecting rod, crankshaft, camshaft, spark, valve plug and the fuel injector. So these are the components of an engine. We have the next question. What are the types of frames? The types of frames are ladder type frame, X type frame, perimeter type frame and backbone type frame. So these are the types of frames. You can see the depiction of how the ladder type, X type, perimeter type and the backbone type frame over here. So the next question is, list the various manufacturers of automobile products in India. The various manufacturers of automobile products in India are passenger vehicles, heavy commercial vehicles, three-wheelers and the two-wheelers. Some of the examples of passenger vehicles are Maruti, Hyundai and so on. Some of the examples of heavy commercial vehicles are Tata, Ashok Leyland and so on. Some of the examples of three-wheelers are Auto, Ningbo and so on. And some of the examples of two-wheelers are Bajaj, Hero Honda, TVS Suzuki and so on. We got the next question over here. State the major types of automobiles according to the fuel used. The major types of automobiles in terms of fuel usage is diesel engines, petrol engines and gas engines. If you consider diesel engines, the fuel used is CI, that is compression ignition engine types. In terms of petrol engines, it will be spark ignition, that is SI engines. In terms of gas engines, it will be either spark ignition or compression ignition mode. So this is how the major types of automobiles are categorized according to the fuel which is used in that. So the next question is, what is meant by the term chassis? A complete vehicle without a body structure is known as chassis. It comprises of basic structure, power unit, transmission system, controls and auxiliaries. We have the next question. How automobiles are classified into different types? The automobiles are classified into different types based on make and model, fuel, based on the body style, based on the number of vehicles, based on the drive, and based on the transmission. So based on these categories, the automobiles are getting to be classified. Here we go with the next question. What are the functions of piston rings? The function is nothing but to provide a gas-tight seal between the piston and the cylinder liner to prevent the escape of gases from top side of the piston to the underside. So this is the main function of the piston ring. We have the next question. What are the two types of piston rings? The first type is compression rings and the second type is oil rings. Let's move on to the next question. What are the different methods of engine cooling? The different methods of engine cooling are air cooling, oil or water cooling. You can see the depiction of how the air cooling and the water cooling, that is also called as oil cooling over here. So these are the depiction of the different methodologies of engine cooling. We have the next question. What are the advantages of air-cooled engines? The advantages are less weight power ratio, and it does not require any radiator or water pump, and there will not be any antifreeze agents that is required for it, and it will not be having any salt and mud deposits in the system. And the last disadvantage is that air-cooled engines are cheaper. We have the next question. What is clearance volume and what are its effects? The volume above the piston when it reaches the TDC, that is top dead center, is known as clearance volume, and the clearance volume is inversely proportional to the compression ratio. We have the next question. What is the function of piston, connecting rod, crankshaft and cylinder head? The function of a piston is that the piston assembly transfers the force from the power stroke to the crankshaft. The function of a connecting rod is that it converts reciprocating motion of piston into rotatory motion of crankshaft. And the function of cylinder head is that cylinder head acts as a top cover to the cylinder block. The valves are placed in the cylinder head in an overhead valve engine. The next question is that state the merits of water cooling system. The merits of water cooling system are cooling efficiency is better, more uniform cooling will be there, and the engine operation is silent in nature, and the last merit is that it does not need an impeller or a boiler. Let's move to the next question. State the demerits of water cooling system. The demerits of water cooling system are more number of components like radiator, water pump, antifreeze agents needed. The antifreeze agents are ethylene glycol and methanol. More salt and mud deposition in the system. So these are considered to be the demerits, and also the engines are costlier. So all these are emphasizing about the demerits of the water cooling system. It needs more number of components, it needs the antifreeze agents and more salts and mud deposition. So these are considered to be the most frequently considered demerits of the water cooling system. We have the next question. What is the purpose of lubricating system? If you see about this one, the purpose of lubrication system or lubricating system is that to supply the lubricating oil between the moving parts of the engine in order to reduce the friction and to provide the cooling effect, in order to carry away the deposits formed due to wear and tear. So these are considered to be the main purpose of lubricating system. Here we go with the next question. What is meant by turbocharging? Increasing the density of inducted charge or air by using a compressor which gets its power from the exhaust driven turbine is said to be called as turbocharging. You can see the depiction of turbocharging over here and how it's getting to be exhaust. We'll move to the next question. What are the various pollutants in internal combustion engine? The various pollutants are HC, that is hydrocarbon, CO, carbon monoxide, NOx, nitrous oxide, particulates, SO2, that is sulfur dioxide, and the final one as CO2, that is carbon dioxide. So these are considered to be the various pollutants in internal combustion engine. Let's move to the next question. What is meant by the term conventional ignition system? The answer for this question is that the conventional ignition system gets its electrical voltage either from battery or dynamo, which will be boosted to a very high voltage, due to which spark is produced in the cylinder to combust the mixture. You can see the depiction of the ignition system over here in a conventional manner. Here we go with the next question. What is the function of a spark plug? The spark plug is a device that produces the electric spark in order to ignite the compressed air fuel mixture inside the cylinder. You can see this spark plug over here. We have the next question. What are the functions of turbochargers? The functions of the turbochargers are to produce more power from the same size engine, and the second function is that it provides the altitude compensation, and the third function of the turbochargers are to improve more complete combustion and hence less emission. So these are the points which are emphasizing and proclaiming about the functions of turbochargers. Let's go on to the next question. What is meant by supercharging? In terms of automobile technology, supercharging is said to be considered as a process of increasing the density of inducted charge or air, which is called as simply supercharging. You can see how the supercharging principle is emphasized over here with the depiction. Apart from that, supercharging is performed for the following reasons. The reasons are that to produce more power from the same size engine, and also it is performed to provide altitude compensation and also to improve more complete combustion and hence less emission. Let's see the next one. What is meant by bleeding off brakes? The process of removing air from the hydraulic brakes is known as bleeding off brakes. You can see the systematic depiction of the bleeding off brake system over here and its processing. The next question is as follows. What's the purpose of toe in and toe out? The purpose of providing a toe in and toe out is straight line stability of the vehicle after negotiating a turn. You can see clearly how the toe out and toe in is implemented and represented over here. Let's see the next question. Define castor and camber. If you see about castor, the tilt of the kingpin from the vertical reference line when viewed from side is said to be called as castor. Camber is the one, if you see here, the camber angle is the inward or outward tilt of the vehicle relative to the vertical reference. So this is called as camber. We have the next question. What is meant by hybrid vehicle? A hybrid vehicle is a vehicle that uses two or more distinct power sources to move the vehicle. The term most commonly refers to hybrid electric vehicles, that is simply called as HEVs. So the term which is most commonly referred to hybrid electric vehicles which combine an internal combustion engine and one or more electric motors. Let's see the next question. What are the advantages of fuel cell? This was one such question which is highlighted in NTPC and Siemens. A fuel cell is a device that converts the chemical energy from a fuel into electricity through a chemical reaction of positively charged hydrogen ions with oxygen or another oxidizing agent. The only byproduct from the fuel cell is either water or CO2, which can be safely disposed. And also the fuel cell is compact in size. As long as there is a supply of fuel, there will be generation of electricity. So these are considered to be some of the examples of some of the advantages of fuel cells. Thank you for watching this from b.tech Techno Solution Private Limited.